Perfect.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
And we're live.
All right. Good. I hope they caught that.
I'm sure they did.
They might have. Who knows?
No holds barred.
Yep. Caught it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Happy Wednesday.
Hello, Gun Nation.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, sometimes the conversations we have prior to the live stream just to kind of warm up and say howdy to each other can be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I think that one was
filled with profanities usually.
Oh, pretty much. Well, we'll give everybody a few minutes to roll on in, but I've got quite a few people joining us. Appreciate everybody joining. I'm trying not to read names quite as much in the beginning. It's just kind of roll call. Everybody seems to know everybody at this point in time, but as always, we thank you guys for joining us. So I don't know if you guys have some things you specifically want to talk about, which is fine. And I think we've had a couple of questions. Music Lover posted a question just a few moments ago in the early chat, the pre-live chat. Also had a question on Facebook, so hopefully he'll join us as well. But guys, what's going on?
It's Wednesday.
It is.
All right, it's Wednesday.
Yeah. No, I go ahead and I'll give a quick shout out. I've been carrying the sandpaper pistol grips actually on me on the P07, and no issues. The thing's wearing perfectly, and it does not scratch my back or give me kind of rash or anything, and it's working great. So,
well, that's not surprising. I mean, he puts out good stuff.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Comfortable stuff.
What's new with you, 17?
Nothing really. I got everybody knows I got the season.
Uh-oh.
Went dead.
Went quiet. Yeah, it's not Three Guys Gun Chat without somebody going silent there for just a little while. So 17 will return here in just a moment.
Yeah, real quick. They were asking, like, can you put a light on the PPQ? And this is my PPQ, and I do have the HD sights on it, and there's the O light on it.
I am working,
hanging on well.
Yeah, you're working. So now he also made a point of saying he didn't want a light that hung beyond the slide. So there are definitely some other options out there, right?
Yeah, no, there are. I personally prefer these, because if you ever had to stick this in somebody's gut, it's not going to knock the gun out of battery. I don't like them where they're way under the barrel. That's just me personally. I like a big light, but that's just me. But yes, you can get other options.
Yeah, I mean, I have currently a TLR3 right here.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have any home right now, which I'm going to put on at some point again. But interestingly enough, now that we're talking about lights, somebody contacted me via email.
What?
And that somebody would just so happens to be Olight.
Wow.
Asking me if I would want to do a review for them.
What?
So I said, sure, I'll do a review for you. No problem. So, of course, they tried to, tell me when I had to do the review by, because apparently that's part of the deal.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to get one sent to me. It's one of those minis. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's the little one.
I'm going to look at it. I'm going to compare it to the TLR3 and do a very, very, very honest review.
Yeah, it's going to be a 50-minute review, right?
No.
Yeah, no 15-minute reviews on all lights.
It's I think they contacted you because somebody else stopped talking to them. I'm not going to mention who it is.
Yeah, I know. So I got a kick out of the email. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, 17, you have a question. Have you shot the CZ Shadow yet?
That is a negative. I'm going to go shooting hopefully Sunday. Unfortunately, my schedule has been extremely busy. Plus, we've been getting snow just about every other day. So it's been very difficult for me to get out. But spring break is coming soon. So I plan on getting some range time for that week that I will be with the kids. And, just shooting a bunch of crap. I got to shoot the Shadow, the P01. I got the Shield. And I just got an email today from Ulster County Sheriff's Office saying I have 2 more goodies on the way.
Sweet.
Nice. So when it rains, it pours.
It looks like they're doing their job finally.
Yeah, in a shade under a decade.
Gonna say maybe coffee breaks over.
Right, right. So we had another question a little while ago from Music Lover, and I got to get back up to that question here. Give me just a second, but it was basically recommendations on longer barrel pistols, so 5 inches plus. She was wondering what people's recommendations are on longer pistols. So if anybody's got some recommendations, and gentlemen, sound off as well. But anybody else has any suggestions for music, let her rip for sure. What do you guys think?
I think you ought to get the Tanfo Hunter Edition 6-inch barrel, 10 millimeter. Or you could just get the compensator for your PO9 if it's threaded barrel.
Okay. And she's already got the PO9. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. She just have to get a threaded barrel and the compensator for the end.
Okay.
I don't really know what to recommend. Long slide like that. I mean, you can always go with the M&P 2.0 series. With their 5-inch.
Yeah.
That would be a good pick, because the 4 1/4 inch is really accurate and really fun to shoot, and then obviously the compact is as well. So I think that would be actually a good pickup.
Well, and you could go for the CZ75BL, which is the long slide version. It's pretty freaking nice too.
Right, but there's other guns besides CZ.
I know you could get a 1911. I mean, there's a lot of different things. It depends on what where your price. Where you want to fall in that price category too, because they're going to range from super high to, lower.
Just get a Glock.
Yeah, there you go. Get you a 34.
Listen, they are great guns. I competed with one for years. They're fantastic. Now, Rhoda suggested an FNS 9L. FN makes great guns as well. Sean said SIG P210. Meet Joe Asian said M&P 9L. Yeah, the 9L is fantastic, or the Pro, or even the Core. Those are great. Logan said the classic 357 Magnum.
There you go.
Definitely an option there for sure. I really like the P320X5. I think that's a lot of fun. It's a great gun. But there are a ton of options out there. And a lot of it depends music on whether you want striker fire or hammer or 1911 or, just you got to figure out what platform, and then you can kind of dial it in from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the FNS 9L and I liked it. But to be honest with you, I didn't shoot it as well as I do my PO9 or my FNS 4-inch barrel. It was kind of weird because they add a spacer. If you've ever pulled one apart where the spring is inside the FNS 9L, there's a spring, and it's the regular conventional spring, but then they put this spacer bar in there. It's like a piece of aluminum. And I think when you shoot it, you can kind of feel it wiggle a little bit. And I don't know if that was that thing moving around in there or what it was, but I didn't like it too much.
Yeah. James was saying the Canik, the TP9 SFX, FSX, SFX, whatever it is.
I don't know.
That's a great gun as well, and very cost effective and red dot ready. So definitely a good option. Now, guys, I have another question. And I know Big Johnson, you've got the FNX 45, right?
Yes.
So I was actually looking at an FNX 9. Version of it. Now it was significantly smaller all the way around. In fact, the grip was smaller, the whole 9 yards. And that's one thing about the FNX. Now, I got reasonably big hands, but that's a huge gun. I mean, the grip is massive.
Are you talking about the 45 or the?
Well, the 45. Now the 9 is substantially smaller.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny on the FNX 45, I use the large back strap. And that fits me the best. But yeah, they're both phenomenal pistols. The FNX 9, I've shot it, and it's a great shooting pistol.
Okay. Well, I've been considering that, and it was also a lot less expensive. I mean, this one was, I think it was a FDE frame and a black slide, and I think it was probably $550 or $600, something like that. And that's really not too bad. I mean, it's a solid gun.
Yeah. No, I'd buy one in a heartbeat. I love the FNX 9 series, or any of the FNX series.
Okay.
We do have a question, which is legitimate. Alaskan Ballistics is asking for shit hit the fan pistol. What are y'all carrying for a pistol? What would y'all carry?
Good question. 17.
It's only one gun I can take. That's
only
it.
One gun. Yeah, otherwise we'd carry a collection, but yeah.
I would take what I have currently with me or own. I would probably take my M&P.
Okay. What about you?
For me, Glock 19. I mean, I've got a pile of magazines. Parts are inexpensive. It's just kind of one of those things it's a dependable gun.
Yeah. For me, honestly, right now, it would probably be the SP01 or the P09, depending on if I wanted to go polymer or steel.
Okay. Music's got a follow-up question to that. What has been your most consistently accurate shooter? You guys are coming up with awesome questions tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for giving us content. We appreciate that. So what do you guys think? Most accurate shooter?
Well, you know my answer, don't you?
Well, I do, but say it out loud anyway.
Shadow 2. Now, well, my TSO is super, super accurate, but I'm talking for a basic all-around gun, the Shadow 2.
I would say for me, it's been the Steyrs. They're just consistently on, whether it's the M9 or the L9 and even the S9 when I had it. I think they're just extremely accurate handguns.
Okay. I would actually go back to the Glock 19 again. Don't get me wrong. I've got a Shadow 2 and I love it, but I don't have enough time behind it to say consistently accurate. However, I imagine if you ask that same question in 6 months or a year, my answer may change. But I seem to be pretty consistent with Glocks most of the time. I have a lot of trigger time behind them. So.
Right, and then I see Sean M is saying his best shooter is the M&P 2.0 compact. I would agree that that's on its way up for me. I mean, just on the first time I took it out to the range, the gun was crazy, crazy dead on. I mean, it was so fun to shoot that gun because it was so friggin' accurate. But I just don't have enough time behind it to move it past the Steyr. But you know, I was saying earlier that for me, the M&P series have replaced my Glocks. Until Glock comes out with something a little bit new, maybe different, I think the M&P definitely has my interests from here on out.
Okay. So everybody, you know, it's funny. Everybody's got such different perspectives on this. I mean, people are coming up with all sorts of different guns. Knuckles is saying the Beretta 92. Steve R is saying P09. Logan is saying Steyr 9A1. Rhoda is saying Beretta APX with 21 round magazines. Can't speak tonight. So just a lot of different things. It always goes back to, you know, Big Johnson, what you say, 31 flavors. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. Well, and that's the great thing about the firearms industry right now. You know, you can get what the hell you like and what you shoot the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is really the great thing about it. You know, and also James, you know, the Para 1911 LDA match. I mean, that's a freaking nice pistol too.
Now I got to ask a question real quick because Pop said HKVP9.
Yeah.
Pops, I am curious. Is that answering the shit hit the fan question, or is that the most accurate shooter? I've seen you shoot a lot of CZs over the last year or so. You're pretty accurate with those CZs. So I'm curious what you're answering with that. And we can keep going. We don't have to wait for him.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't mind, I'd just like to give a shout out to Captain Phil for hooking me up with the FDE frame. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So it's even the Gen 2, so it fits perfectly, no issues. They had the TLR3 on there, but excellent. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Totally awesome.
Sandpaper pistol grips. Damn, he went to the dark side. He ordered a Glock 17 Gen 5.
You're gonna love it. You'll never come back.
Okay, Pops is saying the VP9 was his most accurate carry gun.
Interesting. That's cool. That's very cool.
There's Humble.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, and you know, I mean, Harry's saying, you know, that the TSO orange would make a great shit hit the fan gun, and hell, it carries good amount of ammo, but if you had to wag it around all day long, I mean, every single day, it would get pretty heavy.
Right. Shout out to LB from Peculiar, Missouri. Appreciate you, man.
Logan wants to know if that's a reflex sight, 1776.
Indeed it is. It's a Romeo 1. This is the P320RX, so it comes with the gun.
Cool.
So not really good with it just yet.
That frame looks freaking sweet, though.
Yeah, it just it makes the gun, man. That's why I'm going to keep it for a while.
Yeah, I would keep it just because of that frame. That frame's probably worth more than the gun.
Yeah. Had Nolan Outdoors join us too.
Nice.
Hell, I think I still call him Nolan all the time, but the Outdoors is a little different. I like it. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are any of y'all familiar, and this is from Firearms 101, are any of y'all familiar with the Bursa? If so, what models have you owned?
Uh-oh. Sound drop. Yep.
Okay, have you ever owned a Bursa?
No, I have not. In fact, I've never shot one. I don't know that I've ever handled one. However, they have one that's new, I think this year or late last year. That's a full size that's geared towards competition that I would really like to try. I do not remember the name of it. Again, I have very little exposure to Bursas, but I've heard good things about it. For the price point, I understand. I mean, they're really not bad guns.
No, it's the Bursa Thunder Pro is the one you're talking about, and
Okay.
I actually almost bought one, and it comes in the box with like 5 competition mags, so it's kind of ready to go, except with a holster. And yeah, it was it's only like $690, I think, is what it was, and they had a dual tone color, and I almost bought one, but I decided not to, just because there's not a lot of support out there for it.
The Bursa Thunder Pro, yeah, I just looked it up. It's an interesting firearm for sure.
Yeah, hell, you can't beat that price point. And I have shot the Bursa 380. It was a friend of mine's, and I shot it. And it was one of the older ones. It wasn't the Pro or the newer one. It was okay. I wasn't super impressed with it, but I think the newer 380 is nicer.
Gotcha.
This was one of the really old ones.
I've got no.
Is 17 back up?
Nope.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
I can barely hear you, but you're on.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of this mic. I think I'm just gonna throw it in the trash.
Go mic free tonight.
Yeah.
Cue
cards.
Yeah, Humble Marksman is talking about dual layer Kydex, and question mark. And I think for competition holsters, I would definitely go dual layer Kydex.
Why?
If that's what he's talking about, just for the rigidness, with putting the gun in, the weight of the gun. I've seen some of the single layers right where the muzzle is, they actually can crack right there. And I've actually seen the cracks on the single layers. So that just kind of, or you can just get like I think it's a 0.80 where it's just the thickest Kydex. I've seen people make them out of that, but I've seen some of them just crack on the single layers.
Yeah. Sean, you need the big blue mic. Yeah, no kidding. I need to send him mine.
The smart mic.
Oh, are you there?
I have my old one. For whatever reason, this one doesn't want to work. I don't know.
Yeah, it tends to give you fits. So real quick, we do have another question. This is from Meet Joe Asian. Let's see, this should pop up when you're somewhat a gun expert. I get asked a lot by friends without guns what to get. My recommendation is always 45 for bedside, 9mm for car, and maybe carry as well. I don't know you. So that's an interesting question. Do you pick a specific caliber for the application?
I mean, by my bed, I have a 45 and a 9. I do prefer the 9 for capacity. Now, of course, with the FNX, you got 16 rounds, but I prefer larger capacity guns. So 9, just in case there's multiple intruders. You never know what you could be walking into, and I recommend hiding magazines for whatever your bedside gun is around your house in areas where they are. But I don't really think it matters, honestly. So,
okay.
And I do carry a 9 mostly.
Yeah,
he's asking both questions.
I only have 9mm, so for me, that's that's it. I carry 9, shoot 9. I'm happy with it. No issues. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and I'm basically the same. 9mm, pretty much all the way around. It's less expensive. It you get used to the same format all the time. Sean said for consistency and capacity. I think there's some truth to that. Now I also have a 12 gauge by my bed too. There's something about a pump 12 gauge shotgun. If you hear that in the middle of the night, some people are likely to run. So I like that for scare effect, if nothing else.
Do you think so? And I've heard people say that when they hear the they're going to run. I guess it depends on where you actually hopefully it's all you're doing is popping off the safety and it's already loaded. But I think that, I don't know, depending on where you are in the house, they might not even hear that.
If you are pumping a Remington 870, at least in my house, you can hear it throughout the entire house.
Okay.
And I actually do not keep one in the pipe in that. Okay. So it's got an extended tube on it. And for me, I think there's something about that. I mean, I've got my, in fact, it's the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0C right now is on house duty. I switch those up from time to time, but it's ready to go if need be. But something about that 12 gauge, especially in this part of town, that's most likely going to chase off a lot of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's see here. Yeah, VP9 and 12 gauge.
So
we've had a lot of questions about striker fire revolvers. Logan's been asking about it, and a couple other people. I guess they're asking, would we buy a striker fire revolver?
I didn't know that was such a thing.
I know I haven't personally seen one. I don't know if they're saying, if they came out with it, if we would buy it. I don't see why lower capacity would, if you've got a higher capacity striker fire, why you would want a lower capacity striker fire personally. But a heavier one, I don't see a point in it, honestly. Just for me.
No, I'm with you. I'd have to see it first. 17, you were going to say something a second ago?
Yeah, what I was going to say was, I know in getting into the caracols, apparently they are shipping them out now, and local distributors should be getting them within a couple of weeks. But I still think they're having some issues because they keep, pointing out the fact that if you have a local gun shop, have them call them so they could become a distributor as well. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of locations. They said they're also going to be updating their website with some of those distributors where you can buy them from, because if you ever go to their website and you try to find where those guns are, most of those websites they have on their site actually don't even carry the caracol. So it's kind of, I think the carriage before the horse, so we're going to see. Then I saw somebody who was testing the trigger out, and I got to say, man, it's got a really long reset, really, really long reset. It's almost like a full double action only kind of handgun with a striker fired. So it should be interesting to see. I don't know. My mind's not made up anymore now on that damn thing until somebody else gets one and reviews it. I think I'm going to hold off.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to see too. I wanted to see someone put one out there and give an honest opinion on it. And
that's gonna be difficult to find. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve R is asking, so is it stupid that I don't keep anything loaded? And I would kind of want a little bit more information on that, but it's an interesting question. Does that mean is your home defense gun not chambered, but maybe you've got a magazine close, or maybe in it you just have to chamber it? Or are you talking about carrying a firearm without one in the chamber? Give us a little bit more information, but you've piqued my curiosity a little bit.
Yeah, and this is just my opinion on that. I gave my opinion, but I think an unloaded gun, honestly, just in my opinion, is basically a high dollar paperweight. Because you don't know, and I understand about your pump shotgun because you have backup pistols or whatever else. But I just, if you're carrying a pistol and it's not loaded, or you don't have one in the chamber, you just don't know if you're going to be grabbed from behind, if you're going to be able to actuate that. It's just, you're talking about seconds, or half seconds. You just don't know what you're going to be, if you're going to be able to rack that thing. That's just my opinion. I'd rather just pull the trigger. There's less to think about. But if you're not comfortable in carrying in that way, build up your, become more comfortable with your firearm, and then you'll work into that. And a lot of new carriers, they'll start off with nothing in the pipe, and they'll kind of build up their comfort. I've seen people do that before, and I've had friends that have done it. So I think just go at your pace, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah. 17.
You've got to be comfortable with what you're going to be carrying. First off, I don't think it's, I think our country, definitely pushes the idea you should definitely have one in the pipe. But, the Israeli Defense Force, they train with nothing in their pipes at all. So they consistently train, come out from a draw. They basically have the gun sideways, rack the slide as they come up, and then put it into action. So, I mean, if that's how you're training, great. You know, but I don't think many of us are part of the IDF, and we probably don't train that way. But, you know, I would recommend probably carrying with one in the pipe, because I don't see the use of having a gun that you're not ready to use when you need to. But you've got to, you know, you've got to be comfortable with it. I mean, you have to make sure you're comfortable with it. And if you're not, find a gun that maybe is a double single action handgun with a heavy first pull, or start off with a revolver. Go from there.
Exactly.
Now, what about, okay, so carry's one thing, and I agree. I mean, one in the pipe, I would say the same thing. Now, it's all about comfort level. I'd carry one in the pipe, and it just, for me, it's, especially if I'm carrying something like a shield or whatever, when you've got slightly diminished capacity and you want to take as much advantage of the capacity that you have. So if you are not allowing yourself to get the full range of capacity that you have, especially if you've got a shield with a flat magazine in it, you've got 7 rounds plus 1. If you take away that plus 1, you have 7 rounds. So it's just 1 less round, plus you've got time. And you know, I've never been in a defensive situation where I've had to draw a gun. Thankfully, I hope never to. But I imagine, and I'm juxtapositioning here a little bit, but when it's a fight or flight, your adrenaline is going absolutely haywire. You know, it's a very tense situation, whatever it is. If you're having to go through that motion of racking the gun prior to actually engaging the target, to me that would seem problematic, perhaps. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it is comfort level, especially from a carry standpoint. Now, a home defense standpoint, I feel a little bit differently about that. You know, whether you have one in the pipe or not, in a home defense situation, I feel like most of the time you might have just a little bit more time and a little bit more of an advantage, because you know the layout of your house, you're comfortable with it, versus somebody else who's coming in off the street. They've got to get through layers of door, window, dogs, furniture, that sort of thing. And you might have a little bit more time to react. You might have a little bit more time to rack the slide, which again could in and of itself be a deterrent, perhaps. I'm not saying that as a salesman, but it's possible. So a home defense situation, I'm a little bit more on the fence on. I mean, you know, I think most people would still have one in the pipe. I'm indifferent on that, I think.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's whatever that particular person is comfortable with. You know, I think like you said, when the adrenaline's flowing, you know, your motor skills are going to be, you know, deteriorated. I think we can all agree with that. And I think just, you know, I would rather, and just like 17 has said numerous times, you know, if in a defensive situation, you don't know if it's a 12-pound trigger or a 1-pound trigger, you're just pulling it. And I think the more you can take out of a potential situation, rather than trying to rack the slide when you might not even be able to feel your fingers, you know, you just have no feeling. I think if you can take one thing out of it and just pull the trigger, I think you're going to be better off.
I think the one thing, and I know there are some people out there, and I don't know who still, but you know, back in the day, many years ago, a lot of people kept their gun under a pillow.
Yeah.
And the idea of, especially a striker fire, when you don't oftentimes have a thumb safety or something like that, or a grip safety or whatever, all you really have is the trigger, maybe a trigger safety. You know, the idea of sliding your hand under a pillow, especially if maybe there is somebody else in bed or anything like that. I mean, you might be creating potentially a situation, and you know, I'm speaking in obscurities at this point in time, but some people consider that. So, and to me, you know, if you train racking the slide, I mean, I like an overhanded rack. A lot of times it's pretty comfortable, even though I don't mind using the release. But of course, if you're starting from cold, an overhanded rack is reasonably efficient. That's a pretty good way to get the gun going if it is not chambered yet. So, you know, if you train that way and that becomes part of your function that you do all the time, I mean, it's doable.
Yeah. Do you think, and this is, you know, I don't have any suppressors currently, and I've had this question. I don't know, you maybe have had this question also. You know, why do people buy threaded barreled pistols if they don't have a suppressor?
17's the expert on this. 17, what do you think?
Well, Mine doesn't have a threaded barrel.
We're joking.
Mine has a
Crowned.
crowned barrel. Looks pretty nice. Don't be jealous.
No, we're joking.
I know you douche. What I'm saying though is, you know, I don't need a damn suppressor. Yeah. I want people to hear the bang.
Well, what I've been, what I've been asked is, you have threaded barrel versions, because I have multiple guns with threaded barrels, but what is the reason I would buy that gun over a non-threaded barrel version? Or do you have an opinion on that, KS?
I don't. I mean, I don't own a can myself. I don't have any reason to have a can from a defense situation, a carry situation, anything like that. Now, home defense, that's a little different, and it's something I'm investigating because I think, lessening the sound of the bullet to not impact your own ears, I'm definitely in favor for. So that might be a conversation for a different day. But threaded barrels, from a practical standpoint, no, not so much. I mean, they're great. There's nothing wrong with it. That's fine. And you might get a tiny bit of extra velocity out of the rest of that barrel. I've got the same PO1 that 17 does, but with the threaded barrel. Yeah. So there might be just a slight bit of extra velocity, 30, 40, 50 feet per second. But again, from a carry standpoint, no.
And see, the reason why I grabbed them is, and that's my thought process too. You can get a little, maybe a tad, like you said, 40 to 50 feet per second, if that, and it gives you a little more length, where it can go out of the barrel before you might get the flash in a nighttime, but then also to where you can put, compensators on them. So, a lot of the screw kind, you can just screw them right on, bolt them on, and then boom, you've got a compensator, and all you had to do was just buy a pistol with a threaded barrel.
Yeah, Heartland busted me on that. You guys are exactly right.
Now, let me ask you this, though, about this whole thing with your threaded barrels and everything else. And this is kind of a curious question for me to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I mean, do you think that these guns that are coming out with threaded barrels are as niche as, let's say, a bump stock? I mean, let's be honest. How many people are really using bump stocks for any kind of defensive purpose? We probably could all agree none. So would you agree that maybe having a can or even just a threaded barrel is more of a niche thing than anything else? Because how many people are going to go out and buy, I mean, what do they run? I mean, I'm sure they're not cheap.
No, they're not.
So do you really think that that is something that is just for a select group of people who want to be able to say, hey, look at my silencer? Or do you think it's going to, gain more and more support for it? Because, I mean, could you imagine carrying a concealed gun with a silencer on it, man? Right. That'd be pretty cool to see, but it'd be interesting.
Well, and, my thought process on getting some of the suppressor guns, or excuse me, some of the threaded barrel pistols, right before the election was the Hearing Protection Act would pass. Mm-hmm. And, boom, we could just go and get it. And, I have this little adapter that I can use, but it's kind of a whole different ball game, and I've used it and it works, but of course it's not like the real thing. And that was my hope that, the Hearing Protection Act would pass and we could have suppressors, because all they are is like a muffler on a damn car. You can't drive around without a muffler on your car, so if you had to wake up at night and you did have to fire that, you're not going to go deaf. Your whole family's not going to be hearing impaired. Because if you've ever shot a gun inside of a house or in a building, it's friggin' loud. I mean, your ears ring like hell. So, you imagine waking up in the middle of the night and you firing your pistol and, everybody's ears are ringing. I mean, I think that's why we need them, if just not for that reason.
I would say niche. However, I would say niche with the option to grow. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but I also think that there's a little bit more of an application for a suppressor. Whether it be hunting, a lot of people say hunting, just again, preserving your ears. I'm a little bit on the fence on that, but from a self-defense, a home defense situation, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm totally with you. From a carry standpoint, really, who's going to be carrying one on their carry gun? But perhaps some people do, right? A can, exactly. But most people probably are. Now, again, you guys are saying things like compensators. I totally get that. I'm not a big person into compensators, but I totally understand that. That makes sense. a little bit more, I can buy that a little bit more easily. But I would say by and large, pretty much a niche sort of thing. I saw a question a moment ago. So Parts by Teddy said, any one of the three of you knew or owned a CZ in 2006? So either of you two gentlemen own a CZ in 2006?
I had one in 2007.
Mm-mm.
That was when I first got my first one.
No.
No, I did not.
Yeah, and Coda Boy says we can just use a pillow, you know, for a suppressor, and or you know, a toilet paper roll full of steel wool.
Just get a damn axe out and just axe the person.
There you go.
You know, screw it. Who needs a gun? Go
Much
with the
quieter and neater too. Much
right
neater.
in the chest.
I like the you know, I like the toilet paper roll. You can just take a whole roll of toilet papers and stick it on there.
Plunger them.
Now, Frank makes a good point at $1,000, and not all cans are 1,000, but they're, I mean, I don't think I've seen one under maybe $750 or $800, even without the tax stamp. That's a lot of money for a lot of people, including me. So I would say, yeah, you're right. I mean, you could buy a can and you could wait to get your tax stamp, whatever, 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is, or buy another gun. For me, it's always just been buy another gun, and I've got access to cans at Centerfire and that sort of thing. But you're exactly right. I mean, the prices are they're pretty high now. If the Hearing Protection Act passed for whatever reason, then that might lower prices because more people would get into them.
And that's what I thought too. That was my hope, that it would bring more suppressor people into the business, and they would become more competitive.
I don't think that's going to pass anytime soon, fellas. Sorry.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
You know what I was also thinking of is, you know, every time you see Apex videos, like for triggers or really any upgraded trigger, a lot of the questions that people are always asking is, you know, does this make it more susceptible for you being sued in case you shoot someone, or do you think this trigger is safe to carry? But most of the time it revolves around the idea of the liability behind a better trigger pull. And so I started thinking about this randomly today. You know, if I have a set of crappy sights on my handgun and I upgrade my sights, or I put a red dot on it, doesn't that make the gun more accurate for me? Or like, for example, if I've had the shield with the laser on it and I put a laser right on somebody's chest, does that make the gun inherently more accurate? So does that mean I'm more liable if I shoot someone? Like, I'm just curious about that. What do you guys think about something like that? Well,
they do it in the movies.
I know, it looks cool. I can't wait. I can't wait. I just want to target something with this damn laser.
I mean, you know, I've talked about this before because, you know, I like, you know, with mixing the springs between the Apex and the factory to even get them lighter, I like a really light trigger, but it's just my personal preference. But I don't care if I mean to shoot you. I don't care if it's a 2-pound trigger or a 15-pound trigger. I'm going to shoot you, and you were meant to be shot. And that's going to be my defense. You know, I was scared for my life, or I was concerned for my life, so I shot him. You know, because think about it. If they said, you know, what if I carried my TSO, you know, with a 1.5-pound trigger, and I shot someone, they'll say, oh, you can't carry a competition pistol. You can only carry a regular carry gun with 6-pound trigger or 10-pound trigger. There's no law about that. And, you know, with Firearms Legal Defense, I asked their lawyers, and they're like, no one's ever won a case about a modified gun. Never. There's nothing in the books. And these are firearms lawyers. So, you know, if you meant to be shot, you're going to get shot. Now, if it's an accidental shooting because the trigger was too light, you know, that could be a whole different issue, but don't put your finger on the bang switch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You know, if it's a justifiable shoot, you know, whatever your trigger is, I don't think it really matters whether it's aftermarket, stock, how many pounds it is, whatever. I mean, if it is provable, that's a word, that it's a justifiable shoot, it really shouldn't matter. Now, again, if it's an accidental discharge and somebody gets hurt, somebody gets killed, that's a whole different argument. And if you have modified your gun in any way in that situation, I would imagine, I've never been through this, but I would imagine it's 10 times worse, because I would imagine it would make the prosecution a lot easier.
Yeah.
real quickly, Captain Phil is asking a question, 17, and you might be able to answer this. Have either of you, and he's asking me as well, have either of you got the new Apex P320 trigger bar?
Certainly do. It's installed. And I think he was asking if it made a big difference. It doesn't on the trigger pull weight. You know, I have the advanced flat face trigger in here, so supposedly it drops it by maybe a pound, but I don't even think it did that. Maybe about half to 3/4 of a pound in the weight. But the trigger bar eliminates, I mean, just about all the take up on the trigger. So other than that, it's not a huge difference. You just have no real take up on it. But the trigger pull is heavy. I mean, this is the heaviest trigger I have of all my handguns, because I think this is running around, gosh, I almost think 7 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's with the trigger and the trigger bar. So, you know, I think just for take up, it makes a difference, but not for trigger weight.
Huh. Yeah, and I found basically the same thing. If you put just the trigger shoe in, whether it's the flat or the curved, and I've got one of each, one in the carry and one in the XV tack, and so that those I found they lower it kind of around 1.5 pounds or so. So both of those were coming in a little bit under 5.5 or so, give or take. But when you put that bar in, for me, it actually raised it back up. They're both pulling right around 6 pounds now, so it actually raised them up about 1/2 pound. However, like 17 said, there's basically no take up. You're at the wall, your brake is right there, and then your reset is nominal. So you're kind of sacrificing poundage for a little bit shorter pull. And I actually like that. I mean, I have thoroughly enjoyed the trigger bars.
Yep. And, you know, it's interesting because after you put the trigger bar in, even though there's not a lot of take up, it does feel very similar to a almost like a heavy double action, you know, just with no take up. So maybe that helps you make a decision. I don't know.
Yeah.
Frank is saying, I believe that any mod on a defense gun will be used against you. And it's always possible. I mean, you know, anytime you use a firearm for whatever, and I mean, hopefully it's a justifiable shoot, there is a chance somebody's going to go after you, whether it be a criminal trial or a civil trial, which would be what I would be far more scared of than a criminal trial, especially if it's a justifiable shoot. But at the end of the day, if it's a justifiable shoot, especially if there are any witnesses, any video, you know, surveillance or anything like that, I still don't think that's going to matter. I truly don't.
Well,
if somebody is about to kill you or shoot you or stab you, or your loved one standing next to you, and you draw on fire, I mean, that's a self-defense situation.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, and you know, like I carry, you know, on the firearms legal protection, and it handles in a criminal or a civil suit. And, you know, that was the questions that I asked. And that's what I'm saying. What's the difference between carrying a competition pistol with, or even a 1911? Hell, I had 1911s with 1 pound triggers. So, and they were, you know, that's the way they came. They were just performance versions. So what's the difference between carrying that and carrying a gun with 8 pounds, you know, 8 pound triggers? I mean, I can pull the trigger on both of them. And what are they going to do? Say, oh, well, you had your competition gun on. It had a 1 pound trigger. What the hell is it? That's the way it came. I didn't modify that particular one.
Right.
So good luck proving that. I meant to shoot you, period. That's the way I look at it. And I would fight that till I was blue in the face.
Right.
So
James is asking, anyone have insurance in case you're involved in a defense shooting?
Nope.
Yes. Firearms legal protection is what I have. And I've had the Texas, you know, the Texas one before that, but I changed.
Fu Master Chew is asking a fantastic question. This goes for everybody. Have any of you ever found a firearm in your safe that you forgot you owned? Yes, I've actually done this, lol. Fu, you are a master of all things, my friend. I appreciate you implicitly. What do you guys think?
Yeah, what's really funny is I was actually on the phone with Coda before this, and we were just shooting the crap. And I told him one time I couldn't find a gun in my safe because I've got a couple of them put around the house, and I tore everything apart, couldn't find it. And hell, it was on a shelf. I had it somewhere, and I couldn't remember if I even had the gun. I hadn't shot it in so long. So yes, I mean, that has happened.
I can't say I've had the privilege of ever having that happen to me, unfortunately.
I haven't either. I don't own that many guns. That's impressive. No, Frank, I do not have too many guns. I assure you, and we've talked about this several times. I definitely don't. I have far less than you would think I have. No, I know exactly what guns I have, whether it be rifle or shotgun or handgun. That's Fu again. You're my idol. That's impressive.
Let's see here. Well, here's a question, and it kind of goes off the beaten path. What's the highest capacity, other than an AR, or let's just say a rifle or a drum or anything like that? What's the highest capacity pistol? Well, I know 17, this hurts you, but I guess when you were in the Free State, when you lived in the Free State,
Yep.
What's the highest capacity pistol you ever had?
I had a 19 round magazine.
Okay.
No, now I don't have those. I have 10 rounds.
You remember what pistol it was? Was it a Glock or something?
It was a Glock.
Okay. What about you, KS?
Yeah, well, are we talking? You know, I can throw a 33 round magazine in my Glock 15.
Well, yeah, you can.
There you go, done.
I said pistol, so yes, you can.
But really, realistically, I mean, the highest capacity would be, you know, I've owned several guns with 20 or 21. I mean, I think the some of the SIGs are 21 round magazines. That's about it.
God, I hate you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, you know, I had the Fun Stick too, but other than that one, the highest capacity was the 21 rounder for the 320. So
it's cool.
Mateo also showing off. Well done, my friend. Actually had this happen to me this weekend. Found a compact polymer Witness I forgot I owned. Bought in 2009. That is.
He didn't know he had it, but he remembered what the year he bought it.
Man,
remember the year I bought my guns.
That is really impressive. Music Lover, what different Glock models do you still have? I actually only own one, and that's a 19C. You know, I've owned a lot of Glocks over the years. I won't tell you how many because I don't know, but the 19C sort of blew my mind a little bit last year. Did a very short review on it, not anything special, and it really hasn't been featured in anything. I bought it for myself, and I got rid of everything else because it was so cool and it was so much fun. I didn't care about the Gen 5s. I didn't care about the MOS. I didn't really care about anything else at that point in time. Now, if they had a 19C MOS or something, I would definitely be interested in it. But the 19C is fun, and it's flexible too. If you put a regular barrel in it, you've got a regular gun.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about all the porting and the debris and the noise and all that kind of stuff. And that's just wild. I've got a couple of loaners on hand right now. A 43, which you guys, if you saw the video this weekend, that's a loaner, and a 42 as well. I mean, I thought about comparing it to the 365. I'm having second thoughts about that. People are wanting to see the 365 compared to the 26, the Glock 26, and I don't know why, but a lot of people have requested that. I'll have to see if I can get a hold of one, but that means the 42 probably goes.
Yeah. What about you, 17? How many Glocks do you have?
I have 0, and I don't plan on getting any more.
I have like 14, I think. 14 Glocks, I think is what I have.
Yeah.
I figured you had about 20.
Yeah, I'm joking. I have none currently.
Yeah, I ditched the Glocks, man. Once I started hooking up with the M&P series, I'm telling you, it's just that damn gun has won me over to the point where, you know, you look at a Glock and I'm just like, ugh, you know. I never thought I'd be at that point. And like I said, if they ever do something new and exciting, you know, obviously I definitely would go back. But interestingly enough, I probably wouldn't go with a 19. I'd go back to a 17. If I get another Glock, it's going to be a 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's something about Glocks. If you entrench yourself in the Glock world a little bit, and I know there's some people out there who understand this. I don't know how many people follow me on Instagram, but I posted a picture of my little setup where I record videos. It's just it's basically a desk, that wooden desk you've seen before, and cameras and lights, and that's pretty much it. It's in a spare bedroom, and but there's a little kind of mini little plastic thing there that's probably 8 inches tall and whatever. that is full of Glock parts. That's all it is. It's got triggers, it's got springs and connectors, and you name it, just from various Glocks I've had over the years. And everything's kind of labeled in different bags, so I know what parts go with what types of guns, because there are differences between them. But if you have been in the Glock world long enough, you amass magazines, you amass parts, all that kind of stuff. So to a point, I think I'll always sort of feel obligated to have a Glock in the collection. Now, I like them, thankfully, but also because I have all the crap laying around, and I would feel weird not having something to go along with all of that crap.
Right.
Yeah, Harry's is giving me crap. He said, Big Johnson Guns and Gear, have you handled the Glock 19X, and how does it feel? And where he's going with that is, I actually handled the 19X the other day, and I sent him pictures of it, and I put my hands on it. And of course, my hands only fit on a 17, which that has the grip. And believe it or not, I actually liked that pistol. It was probably the only Glock, I guess, probably because the hump was lower and I could kind of grab it a little differently, that when I pressed out, and it took me maybe 2 times versus it might take me 4 or 5 on the other ones. But when I pressed out the sights, I could get them pretty straight pretty quick.
But didn't you have a 17 once before?
Yeah, I had a 17 MOS, but it was, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the longer barrel, or I had to get it at a little slightly different angle for the sights to meet up. But with the shorter slide, they hit a lot quicker than the 17 did. Mm-hmm. And it actually, without the finger grooves, it fit my hand. I mean, with the the fingers, that I don't like the finger grooves at all. I like the Gen 3 before, and that Gen 2, but it actually felt pretty good in my hand. I was really surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I could see the reason in having the larger grip for a larger hand, but still having the shorter sight, or the shorter slide. But would I ever buy one? But it definitely piqued my interest. Since I was able to put my hand on it.
Right. I don't know. I just I go back and forth with Glock. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I hate them. I think for me, it's just, there's just so many good things out there right now that I shoot Glocks pretty well, but I just shoot other things better. I feel ergonomically they're better. Performance wise, they're on par, if not maybe slightly better. So to me, there really is not a reason to go back to it just yet. If they ever bring that rotating barrel to the US, that would be one that I would absolutely seriously consider. But, right now, I'm just like, not into them.
That makes perfect sense. It does, and it's great that there are so many different options out there to suit so many different needs. I like the idea that that there's such a wealth of aftermarket. So if you really want to bedazzle your gun or whatever it is, Glocks are a great way to do it, man. You can basically do anything to them, which is kind of nice. Real quickly, before we go any further, I want to thank everybody again for joining us and sticking with us. I know you've got some other choices out there, so we really appreciate you guys hanging along with us. That really means a lot to each of us. Real quickly, I had a question highlighted and now I just lost it. I can't remember who asked it, and I apologize. I don't know if it was my life or somebody, but somebody asked about Zenith firearms, Zenith pistols. Now, I don't know if you guys have any experience with that. I've got a buddy at Centerfire that's giving me his Zenith. It's an MP5 clone, and you guys may have seen it. It was in the intro of the 365 video. I was doing a little bit of shooting with that. The MP5 is probably my favorite gun of all time. I'm a big fan of Die Hard. I'm that kid, and so the MP5 is like that's it for me. Yeah, and so the Zenith is pretty darn close to it, and so I'm going to do a review on that and get to play around with it. And it's got a can on it, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
It's pretty well decked out. So at least from that extent, I've been very impressed with what Zenith puts out.
Yeah, and Grab-A-Gun has them right now where you can make an offer on them, but they're still pretty expensive. But yeah, they look really cool. I mean, I definitely agree with that, but I've never shot one, not a Zenith.
Mm-hmm.
That was NC, by the way, NC Civil War. Sorry, brother, missed that one. 17. Have you been around the Zenith at all?
No, like I said, you can't find anything around here.
Yeah.
If it's like a special type of gun, or if not a run-of-the-mill manufacturer, you have to special order those. I mean, I'll never see a Zenith here. I'll never see a Tanfoglio. I'll never see any of those guns.
Yeah, we do have a question from Ike 4, 1776, and Big J. You guys don't seem to be big SIG fans. Is that true? If so, why?
Go ahead, Big J.
I mean, I've had plenty of SIGs in the past. I had the 320 and I loved it. But honestly, and I shot it really well, but I got other pistols that I was shooting even better and more accurately. So I kind of fell out of love with the polymer. Now the X carry is cool. The Legion is really cool. I mean, I have no hate for SIG at all. I put my hands on the 365 and it's just too small for me. It's just a personal thing. Now, if I shot it, I might still like it, but man, my thumb it's just, there's not enough lower rail for me to put my thumbs and be comfortable. And I'm not going to shoot a gun with my thumb sticking way up in the air. I'm just not going to do that.
You don't need it. You have another one.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, SIG, I've owned, I think 3 or 4 P320s. They were good, but they were never my favorite. As you can tell, I'm personally not a huge fan of Sig Sauer. I'm just not, never have been, probably never will be. I do have a little bit of a crush on the RX right now. So I'm going to keep it, but it doesn't mean it'll stay forever. That's just not, it's just never been a brand that I've liked. I like other brands that I feel are more what I'm looking for in a handgun. Sig Sauer has a tendency to be heavier, higher, just not a fan of them. So, but that's me. And the 365, I'm never going to buy that gun. I just don't have any interest in it. I have the new shield. I absolutely love the new shield, and very, very happy with it. So I wouldn't see myself getting something like that. And Alaskan saying Sig is better than Steyr. I'm pretty sure I could drop my Steyr and not worry about it shooting me. So,
but I mean, he could be talking about a Legion. He could be talking about.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're talking a $1,400 gun, sure. Yeah, absolutely. My Steyr was like 400 and change.
And the good thing is we have 31 flavors. Everybody can get what they want.
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing about this. And KS has an admirer.
You guys know I'm a big SIG fan. In fact, I think this is becoming the year of CZ and SIG, even though last year was a little bit CZ heavy too. But I've been very impressed as a newcomer. I am a noob to CZ, so I'm learning every day from these two fine gentlemen and all of you as well. But SIG, I've been around for a few years now, and I'm impressed with most things they put out. There are some things I do not care for very much. I handled I think it was a 250, P250 the other day, and I did not care for that very much at all. And there have been some other ones that I've not been inspired by, but their 1911s, I think, for the money, are some of the best 1911s out there. Now, obviously, there are Ed Browns and Les Bears and all that sort of thing, but that's a whole different. That's top shelf alcohol right there. That is totally different than what the kind of lay person can afford. And so if you want a top shelf 1911 for a decent price, hard to beat. And then the 226, 229, 220, all that entire P line is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah,
they're proven. And like this, the Nightmare, the 1911 Nightmare. I mean, that's a great gun. I mean, it's SIG makes great 1911s.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I like the P320 line. I mean, I know they had the drop issue, but I have mixed feelings about that whole thing. Obviously, it did happen. I mean, they were able to prove that it did happen. You had to look pretty hard for it, and it was a pretty obscure situation for it to actually happen. But at the end of the day, they weren't quite as safe. So I get that. SIG made it right. But I like the P320 line. I love the X line. And so far, the 365, it's been an amazing gun. It's peening, I can't lie, obviously, and I've been busted for that on the video a couple of times. A couple of people have gotten very pissed that I chose the 365 over the 43, even though I knew it was peening. I don't care. I think it's a better built gun, frankly.
Yeah. Well, as long as it works. I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I said. I think, I think that those guns still, and I know that Pose is running great and stuff like that, but I think they just need to still run those guns more and just make sure that they're all good to go. And if you own one, shoot the hell out of it. Just make sure the damn thing works.
I don't know. I think with the 365, for me personally, I just don't think it offers enough to switch from what I have now. It just doesn't,
Yeah, and the Uncharted Trucker was saying Dan Wessons are insanely better than SIG 1911s. Yeah, and that's what we were saying. If you're getting into Les Bears, Dan Wessons, things like that. Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame. We're just saying SIG 1911s are good for what they are, and even the Smith & Wesson, performance 1911s are super nice, and they're very underrated too.
Right.
Tundra Tactical is trolling us right now, just so everybody knows. This is Tundra. This is that it's never your choice, and you are always wrong. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Now, 17, I want to challenge you on something real quick. We're running over time, but we're going to give this a couple of extra minutes because I like challenging you. So if the 365, whether it be mine or Harry's or whomever that have had some issues, if none of them have had any issues, all of them ran flawlessly, would you feel any different about that?
No, to me, I have zero, and I'm shocked I'm saying this, but I have zero interest in that handgun. Okay. Zero. It does absolutely nothing for me in regards to improving anything that I already own. For me, the Smith & Wesson Shields shoots well. I've had a couple of these, a couple of upgrades on the trigger. And now, of course, you can beat me over the head. Oh, you got to drop a trigger in there. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. But it doesn't peen. But no, the way I look at it is there's nothing of that 365 that is better than this gun right here. I still think the Shield is the I guess you could call it the apex of single stacks, and some people may hate that, but that's how I feel about it. And for me, it's just a no-go. I'm just never going to do it.
Okay.
But if somebody wants to give me one, I'll take it. I'm not going to lie, but I just would not waste the money on it. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. It's totally fair. And the Shield's a phenomenal gun for sure. There will be a comparison between those two coming very shortly. Now, guys, we are over time. A couple of things real quick, and then I want to make sure you guys can kind of say your thing. But obviously appreciate all of you guys joining us. There are a lot of great channels out there. Tundra, Pops. Some of you guys, thanks for reminding me for that. So be sure to check each other out. Another new thing about YouTube on the live streams is a brand new feature. You can actually go back and watch these, and the stream is happening. You can see all the comments coming on now. So that's kind of a new thing. So if you go back and watch this, you can see all of the people talking and how we're responding to that and everything. So that's kind of a neat new feature for YouTube. Good on them, even though otherwise they're kind of jerks on things. But whatever. So you guys take it away.
Go ahead, 17.
So I'm just going to be doing some shooting. I'm going to do some comparisons. Definitely want to put some rounds through that shadow, because I do have to get that back to sandpaper pistol grip, and ultimately I'll probably say goodbye to it soon. And I'm never going to buy one of those either, fellas. Sorry, but I just got to do some shooting. I got to get out to the range. It's been a while, and I just want to air out some guns that I have. I want to actually start shooting the Steyrs again, because I haven't touched those in a while. But I definitely want to get those out. So probably some shooting videos. I got a couple of things I got to review. I got a really big video coming out for an Olight. So I can't wait to do that video. That's going to be exciting. So I hope you guys enjoy that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to thank everyone that, all the subscribers that are on the chat and stuff. I mean, that's why we do this, is for y'all. And thank these two clowns. It's always a great time to get on a chat with them and talk about gun stuff and whatever the hell we want to talk about. And yeah, I've got, I'm going to be doing some shooting and some other stuff, and playing with some ARs, and that's what I have going.
Nice. Yeah, and just it's kind of whatever the mood strikes for me. I never know where the wind's going to take me, but eventually 365 versus Shield, and beyond that, we shall see. So once again, everybody, thank you guys very much. Happy Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you guys next Wednesday.
Hump day.
Later.
Carry on.